Previously on I Love Talking Survivor.
Do you like your food, Brendan?
Yes. Yes, I do.
You sure don't look like you like it. You haven't really even touched anything. I don't think he likes it, Mom.
I like it. See, what exactly do you call this dish?
Rice.
Yeah, but what's the flavoring?
Rice flavored.
No,
How
we
much
need
rice are we
18
making?
of these, actually.
Oh, how much
18.
rice are we making?
We're making 5 cups of rice. That's not way too much rice.
For 11
Not if
people?
everybody wants to eat.
But we need 18 of those?
If you cook rice a lot at home,
No, I'm just worried about the quantity of rice we're about to cook.
and I just cook the rice. Unless you're going to cook rice at home.
I just thank the Lord she didn't live to see her son as a mermaid. Merman.
Merman! Ozzy, Survivor's original Jungle Boy who's got that crazy jungle strength.
Jungle Man.
Jungle Man.
Let me tell you this, the older you do get, the more rules are gonna try to get you to follow. You just gotta keep living, man. L-I-V-I-N.
Southern hemisphere of the moon looks different.
You see the man in the moon or the rabbit flipping pancakes?
I've never seen a rabbit flip pancakes.
Really? I'll have to point it out to you.
Yeah.
You'll never see the man again.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall with those two talking. How many brain cells rolling around in that conversation, you know? No, I think Jonathan's playing a good game, and I'm going to get to talk about it here in a little bit. Ozzy's doing a lot better than he has in the past. I love the rice scene. Rice equals conflict. Give the people rice. They're going to think better. They're going to play better. You're going to get people throwing the rice into the fire. That kind of stuff. Remember when we used to have insane stuff like that? You're going to get people fighting over rationing out the rice. Rob Cesternino said that on All Stars, he got into it with some people about that. And people, had a lot of opinions of that kind of stuff. And I get it. You're hungry. So I totally get it. Jungle Man. Jungle Man. He has evolved into the Jungle Man. Ozzy, my man. What a game for him, too. Lot to get into. Huge twist this round. I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to start off by talking about, I love the relationships that we get in a returning season like this. Because you get a lot of people that you wouldn't necessarily think would work together, end up having to work together. And I think part of that is because of what I talked about last time, where when you get rid of Chrissy and Coach, there becomes a lot of pairs and a lot of free agents kind of floating around. And so now you get what we get now. And so we had Aubrey and Jonathan make an impact. Sari and Rizzo obviously have been working together for a little bit. Tiffany and Joe, last episode, we see kind of make this connection. I don't know if anything's going to materialize out of that, but I think there's a reason they're showing it. Survivor, two of my favorite things about Survivor. The visuals of it, what do you call that? Just the production of it. And then the storytelling. The storytelling is so good. They do not waste a moment on Survivor, typically. They do not waste a moment. They're telling you stuff for a reason. Even the flashback stuff is telling you stuff for a reason. And so I think we get this Tiffany and Joe scene for a reason. I think there's a bigger story there. Just like how I said last time.
With Chrissy coming after me, I chuckle because if we can look at the lore of what happens to people who take shots at me, they don't make it out alive.
Taking shots at Rizzo? Why did they put that in there? Storytelling. I think something's going to happen later. This Aubrey and Jonathan pair is one that I'm probably most interested in because I think it works well for the jury. You kind of want to team up with somebody who it's either we need each other to survive at all. Think about season 49. You get Savannah, Rizzo, and what's the homegirl? Sophie. 3 versus, I think it was 7 or something like that going into the merge. And so, like, they were ride or die because they had no other choice. Like, they had to work with each other. Kyle and Camilla where the same way they get swapped into a tribe and then they realize like, oh, it can be us. Like it can be us and we can run all the way to the end. And then obviously we're going to split the jury and we don't need to be doing that in this season. Because we did have that was a season where every finalist got votes. And so it just would not have made sense because I think neither of them could have possibly won if they would have gone up against each other. And so Aubrey and Jonathan are really interesting because they get different parts of the jury. So we merged at 14. So we're going to get probably an 11-person jury. And so you're aiming for 6. You're aiming for 5 guaranteed. Something like that, right? And so Aubrey and Jonathan are going to pull different people towards them for their jury vote. And so I think, and they could talk about different things too, of like what they did. Obviously from here on out, we'll see, because this is going to be the very impactful part of the game. The final, what are we at? 9, 10? 10, I think. Now that our boy Christian is gone, God rest him, man. And then Tiffany and Joe, same thing. That could be really neat. I don't know why Tiffany's going after Emily. I think when it comes to kind of like who's got the biggest resume, Tiffany said, like, I need to start building a resume. I think Tiffany needs to try to go to the end with a Joe, Emily, and probably a Rizzo. Something like that. And so her trying to go after Emily this time around, I get it. You're trying to build a resume, trying to do something. But it just didn't seem like the right person to try and do at that time. And girl, most merge episodes happen right now. So usually you get the merge at 11. And so you still got a lot of game to go. But we'll see. Let me talk a little bit more about Jonathan. Somebody was kind of making fun of him in our Survivor group chat. And I think he's playing a really good game. One, just from the storytelling perspective, we're not getting a lot of negative things about Jonathan. He was in charge of the D vote, or at least that's what we're perceived are supposed to perceive from that. He also had an influence in some other votes. He seems to be sort of like a large voice within the people that he has influence over. The negative is that this past one, he did vote for Devins and Aubrey. And so he was on the wrong side of the vote there. But you can still come back from that. Particularly if your arc becomes one of overcoming being on the outside. As I just saw with season 47, me and my wife just finished that. So glad we did because she got to see Rachel go out onto the barge for the journey. So amazing. And then she got to see it this time around as well. Jonathan also has some pretty cool moments where he sort of clapbacks at Dee whenever Dee is sort of confronting Coach, or at least talking to Coach. And she says, everyone here is lying. No one's here telling the truth. We're all playing this game. No one here is telling the truth. And he says, are you Dee? Oh, are you Dee? Are you telling the truth? And that was really cool. And then it seemed like, he was kind of like just trying to rile her up too. But he's been got too. He also kind of clapped back to Devins. I think it was last tribal, yeah. When Devin says something like, look at all these people. You're starting to see where the alliances go. And he says, you're saying just as much too by not getting up, coming to talk to people. I think that's very true. Kelly Wentworth did an interview with Rob Sessions on Rob Has a Podcast. And she says, when she played with the Devins at Edge of Extinction, she said, Devins does this thing where he's playing for fun, playing to make good TV, to, I'm sure production loves it, Jeff loves it, but it sort of pisses off the people that he's playing with. And so he'll kind of make this show and kind of poke at people and, say these little snarky comments and not just come like, join the conversation. Like, yeah, you can play your idol, you can show up at these kind of things, but also don't just sort of push everyone away, because now you're going to find yourself isolated and people are pretty frustrated with you and don't really want to work with you. And I think like Devins is kind of going into the same thing again. I don't know if we're going to see Devins again. Obviously, he's getting a little bit older. Is my wife letting my kid play with spoons out there? I don't know if y'all hear all of this rattling out there, but I just hear a bunch of metal just clinging around. Someone's having some fun with spoons. Fun with Spoons is going to be my next podcast, so make sure to tune into that, where we'll also be reading Ozzy's new children's book,
Ozzy's Lucky Day.
Hannah actually thought that was a real book. My wife, we were in the car, and somehow that came up, probably because I just think in Survivor quotes all day. You want to know what my brain is like? This is what my brain is like.
Looking at my house, about eating my house.
That's my brain most of the day. And so I probably at some point
Ozzy's lucky day.
just said that. And she said, she said, I'm so excited for that. Like, I'm so excited to read that. One, why? Why would you be excited to read that? Why would you be excited to read
Ozzy's lucky day?
What are you gonna read our kids, dude? And then I had to, man, I should have rolled with it longer, but I had to break the bad news to her that Ozzy is not writing a children's book called Ozzy's Lucky Day. Maybe I'll be able to reach out to him and convince him otherwise, and maybe I can make some money off of that. But we'll see. That's my main goal, is to make money off of something, anything. What was I talking about? Who cares? Whatever. So yeah, Devins, I had these moments where he's kind of pushing people out. Jonathan also, I think he's got chances to win immunity. He hasn't been awesome at these challenges yet, but there's always just the possibility that he can kind of go on a run and win some stuff. He's got a pretty solid alliance: Joe, Stephanie, Aubrey, some people that he's working with. I think as people get more isolated over the next few votes, so now you got Devins and Emily starting to get isolated. Emily, traditionally Emily plays in a way where she's looking out for herself. She's looking out for number one. This past episode, where she went out for Christian to her own detriment, was the first time that I've seen Emily try and stick her neck out for somebody and try and go back for somebody in her alliance. And so maybe Emily sees the writing on the wall with this Devins thing. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes and spills the beans about everything. And then she can kind of join somebody like a Joe, Stephanie, Aubrey kind of thing too. Because she does have a relationship with Aubrey already. And obviously now Ozzy's going to be kind of pushing her away as well. So we'll see. The journey. That journey is one of my favorite things ever. From a production standpoint, I just think it's so cool that they built something that huge, that involved. I remember on season 47 when Jeff was doing the On Fire podcast, he talked about how not only do you have to build this thing and, it's out there in the ocean and you got to make sure it's not moving around all over the place, but you have the divers under there, the safety divers, and then also the divers to, just retrieve all the stuff that falls. People, I think, were confused that the puzzle they just threw this puzzle into the ocean and they go get it. They didn't just think we forgot to. No, they're gonna they have stuff to retrieve it back to them. Now the pieces, that's interesting. Is that just gonna wash up on shore? If I go out to Fiji, will I find a piece of that puzzle? Because some of those pieces, surely they just kind of floated away. How deep is that part there they're at? Who knows? These are questions that I'll submit to the next On Fire podcast that they do next year. But Jeff kind of talked about, he's like, even with the rope, we're running it multiple times, trying to figure out how long of a rope do we need, how quickly do these things need to drop, versus, how fast can they do this puzzle, make it to where it's manageable, but it's difficult, it's not guaranteed. So, I think on season 47, it was pretty close. Obviously, this season, Christian has said that he doesn't really practice jigsaw puzzles. He says he's more, the puzzles that he's good at all have a system in place where it's there's a way to kind of shortcut this. And so jigsaw puzzles are just sort of you just got to kind of go, try something and keep going. Obviously, there's some strategy to it. But he said that jigsaw puzzles were not his thing. He didn't really practice those. And so even though, brilliant dude, that's not his avenue, not his lane, as opposed to something like Rachel did on season 47, where it's all the different colored balls and you have to line them up. I think something like that, or a maze type puzzle, he's going to be, obviously the slide puzzle that he did a dissertation on or whatever during his original season, those kind of things he's going to be superior at, and there's going to be very few people that kind of match him step for step for that. I did think Joe messed up, which, man, having Joe on your team and you see him win immunity after immunity, and you see him in a lot of conversations. He's over there sitting on the boat with Suri and Ozzy. Okay. When Joe's on your fantasy team, you love to see that. You love to see him talking to Jonathan and Stephanie. You love to see him talking to Tiffany. Joe, you got some relationships, man. And you're fighting against Devins? Okay. I think people are over Devins. So if this is your number one enemy, he's got nothing. You're in a good spot, Joe. So let's make some good strategic decisions. Let's have some sway in your alliances. So here comes the journey. Several people raise their hand to go on this thing. And he says, play rock, paper, scissors for it. You had Ozzy, who earlier in the episode, you said to Jonathan, hey, yeah, let's try and gain his trust. My computer just died. You want to know how new I am to this? How much of a rookie I am at this? My computer just died. I forgot to plug in my laptop. And it just went toast on me. So hopefully I pick up from where I left off. But the talking at the well, and they're saying, let's try and bring in Ozzy. Get a new number. He might need some people. I don't think we're done with him necessarily. And then you choose rock, paper, scissors. And Ozzy also just got second place in that challenge. And Ozzy is also not particularly strategic. Let's say he goes to get an advantage. What is he going to do with it? Give it to Suri? That's all he knows how to do with these things. Did I kind of sound like Jerry Seinfeld right there? Give it to Suri? Whatever, man. Production of that journey was amazing. The one complaint that I had on season 47 when I watched it again and I watched that journey, which is, yeah, one of my favorite things they've ever done, is that there wasn't this drone shot that lets you know how isolated she was when she was out there, right? She's out in the middle of the ocean, and I would just loved go up in the air, take a step back, show us how alone she is out there, particularly because storytelling-wise, Rachel was alone. She felt alone a lot of times. She kind of joined up with the 5 at that point, but that would have been good stuff. And then now you would have, this season, they made up for that. They give us the drone shot. I don't know how they did it. Because I think there's 3 cameras on the barge with Christian while he's doing the challenge. If I can tell from shot by shot what we're looking at there. Maybe 2. And then you also have the boat too, and so he's in the middle of doing the puzzle, and they get a drone shot. I don't know how they did it, man. But it was awesome. Loved that. And then we get like a scene from Titanic. When this thing just rips off into the ocean and starts sinking down to the bottom. And then Christian's emotions start sinking down as he's talking in his confessional about the experience. I just loved it, man. You can let me see. I think I have some photos here of if you're watching the feed again. If you did watch the actual video I made, thanks for watching that. If you're still listening, that's totally fine too. But if you're watching, let me show you this. I'll probably got some glare. These are all my emotions. I can't get this thing to focus, but I went through it all. Oh, that's my child, so don't dox me. Here squatting, here just heartbroken with Christian. I was going through it. Come to a watch party with me. I don't hide any of my emotions. You're going to get every single one of them. I heard one of my friends talking about how she was like, yeah, I'm watching with my friend Shayla, and she's screaming out loud right now. Shout out, Shayla. Appreciate you for listening, for watching, and for texting me. And I'm with you, girl. I'm screaming too. I'm hollering. But I love the production of that. Now, the actual Jimmy Fallon twist part of it, the punishment, I'm honestly fine with, to a degree. It's final 11. One vote towards you isn't going to kill you. It really isn't. So at final 11, forcing somebody to vote for themselves is a pretty harsh punishment, but a pretty good punishment. What I don't like is that he had to go read it out loud. Give him the opportunity to lie. He's going to have a mark on him anyways. And then after this tribal, he gets to come forward and tell the truth. Hey, so I lost. The punishment was I had to vote for myself. You want to know how it was me? You know it was me because mine was in cursive, blah, 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 whatever, right? But the punishment of vote for yourself, read it out loud, that was so harsh, and the reward was not that great. So the reward, they actually didn't read the whole thing. So it's yeah, you're casting a vote into the urn. So there's already going to be a vote in there for whoever you write. And so it's kind of hard because, one, who are we voting for? We just had the challenge. We just found out who won immunity. So who are we voting for? I don't know, man. You would have had to have, you had last night and this morning to talk about it. But you're kind of lost on who my tribe is voting for, who my alliance is voting for. He probably would have written down Ozzy because that's what he was trying to push. He might have gone with something safer, an Aubrey, Emily. So I don't know, because he's kind of working with those people too. But the part that wasn't read was that he gets to put this vote in the urn. It's going to go in there. But then at Tribal tonight, he has his own vote, his normal vote. He could then decide if he wanted to play that, so he could write another Aussie on there. So now it's basically just works as an extra vote. Or he could pocket his vote if he knew that it didn't matter. So if he knew the vote was going to be, 10-1, and his vote wouldn't have mattered, like he doesn't need another vote in there to make it 11-1, take that vote, pocket it, use it until the final 7. Final 7, you get some final 7, final 8. If you have an extra vote, Suri, that is a pretty powerful advantage. You could take something from 4-3. Whenever it's mirrored like this in the video, I'm holding up 4 and 3 in the video, but it's mirrored, and so it's kind of blowing my mind right now. I got as many brain cells as Jonathan and Ozzy, and yeah, I can't work this right now. You take it from 4-3, you got that extra vote, 4-4. Now we're going to rocks. Now we got some drama. It's looking good. Or you just switch one over. That kind of thing. So, final 8, same thing. Let's say you're in the minority, 5-3. Switch one. I'm doing it again. My mind is like so blown. I'm like so confused. Yeah, dude. So 5-3, a final 8. You got an extra vote. Switch one person. You got the majority. Know what I'm saying? So it could have been really fun twist. Bring that along. But I do think if it's going to be as bad as you got to read this in front of these people, it needs to be equally as powerful. And so I think something like, we haven't done this before, but how about a safety with power? I'm going to, before the votes are read, you say, hey, it's time to vote. Hey, Jeff, I have a he gets to lie. I have a safety without power. He gets to go back to camp. Maybe he gets to still pocket his vote. Maybe he gets to take his vote and still put it in the urn for tonight. Something like that. Something pretty hardcore where, all right, if this is going to put a target on your back, the reward is we're going to give you something that takes the target away because now you're safe. I don't know. Something like that. Something pretty crazy. But alas, we didn't get that, and so he is headed home. Seems like he was already headed home. I think in some ways, this was the best possible outcome for Christian. If he was already had this target on him, maybe it would have gone to Devins instead of Christian, but it was looking like it was going to be a really big uphill battle to get something going here. But now, he gets to go up here on Jimmy Fallon. I saw he got ads on his Instagram. He was in an ad with Rizzo. They were doing something over in New York. And so he gets to kind of become, if for the past 50 seasons, we had faces of Survivor that were your coaches, your Colbys, some of the people that we're seeing here, Sari, Rob. I think they need new faces of Survivor, new personalities that we need to kind of associate the game with. And I think Christian can be one of those guys. He's a great ambassador for the game and a great dude. And I think he also represents what the show is becoming. Jeff talks about, we keep in mind, this show is for 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds. It's not for me anymore. And I'm okay with that. I still love Great British Baking Show. That's a show that could be just as good for kids. The new Dancing with the Stars. I watched that for the first time this year. I loved it. It's so wholesome. Survivor is entering into that. And who better to represent that than a guy like Christian? What a great dude. And I also think all of this is setting him up, too, to be on a future season, which I'm here for that as well. Last thing I wanted to kind of talk through. So, yeah, I did all that. Let me do some drops here. So, yeah, we had some good ones, man. I lost one of my things here. I'm going to pull that up in a second. So, because my laptop died, I'm going to need to, bring everything back up here. We got a lot of weird, quirky things from Ozzy coming in. So, Ozzy's an odd dude, man. And, we hear a lot about his social game kind of lacking. Well, I think we might be getting some of that here. Oh, sorry there.
Great job.
I love the Jeff challenge. I was losing my mind, dude. I loved it. The Jeff challenge. That was so good. I'd kind of predicted that this is what it was going to be. Like, it was going to be a rice negotiation thing. But, man, so good. And I just love the noises that we get from Jeff here.
Oh my God! Have I lowered?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are. Oh, Jeff pulling back up, showing what he's made of. What is with this challenge? Who made this challenge? This is barbaric.
Drop.
I love seeing that side of Jeff. I also love the montage of Sassy Jeff when I'm talking all that crap to people. That was so great too. So back to Ozzy. Yeah, Ozzy's got this line here.
I'm not convinced that Christian isn't a robot walking around in human skin.
I love the enunciation. A robot walking around in human skin. I wonder if he said that and then production was like, we didn't get a good take of that. Like, does he have lazy mouth like I do? I got a very lazy mouth. And if you're listening to just the audio, not looking around on this video, then you probably catch that pretty regularly. Even if you're just my friend and talk to me regularly. Dude, I don't finish most of my words. And so maybe Ozzy didn't either, and so that's why
I'm not convinced that Christian isn't a robot walking around in human skin.
So much enunciation. I love this one too. This is I forget what the word is that people use, but it's like one of these audio things that's just kind of stuck in your mind and you just kind of like say routinely or think about. Obviously, I talked about last time it was a flat-faced liar. I think about that a lot, but...
Oh, Christian, that has got to sting, my brother. The double doctorate roboticist couldn't do a puzzle. And now you get to vote yourself out, Christian?
The double doctorate roboticist. Yeah, dude, I love that line. I love that line. That's some, he sounds like Eminem or something. And then we got another great insult coming up. We already had...
Coach pisses me off. Coach is just a flat-faced liar.
Flat-faced liar. Now we get one about Emily from Tiff.
Yeah. She is a freaking flip-flopping ass.
Yeah. Oh, flip-flopping ass. Love it, man. Love that kind of stuff. It's so funny to me, dude.
And now here's the listener of the week.
I can tell you who's not the listener of the week. Max Ferris, you're dead to me. Max Ferris, God have mercy on your soul, my friend. The listener this week is going to be Ryan Bristow for calling me a flat-faced liar whenever I sent him a text this week. Was there anything else I needed to flag here? We got it all. Great episode. Loving it. This is, there's a lot to take in with that journey, with that challenge. But man, what an emotional ride. Survivor just keeps crushing the storytelling, and I'm so glad that we got to see Christian at the forefront of that. Sad to lose him, but love to see him walk away, or something like that. I forgot what to say. Anyways, I'm going to see you next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you for listening to my Daddy Survivor podcast. Got nothing for ya? Head back to camp. Love you. Bye.